out here. Who's net? Our net. 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 Make some noise, y'all. Woo! The people connected will never be defeated. 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 Woo! Make some noise! Y'all gotta get louder. Y'all gotta get louder. When I say internet, you say freedom. Internet. Freedom. Internet. Freedom. Internet. Freedom. Internet. Freedom. When I say internet, you say freedom. Internet. Freedom. Internet. Freedom. Internet. Freedom. Internet. Freedom. All right. Make some noise for yourself for being out here in the cold. We're here today to tell Chairman Pai that we're not going to let him take away our digital civil rights without showing up, right? Am I right? Internet! 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 The people connected will never be defeated. 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 Woo! Give it up, make some noise! My name's Erin. I'm the Internet Rights Organizer with Center for Media Justice. Shout out to Center for Media Justice. And I'm about to pass the mic to our MC for today, Mr. Steven Renderos, who is the Organizing Director at Center for Media Justice. Give it up for Steven.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How you feeling? If you're feeling cold, make some noise. All right, you're definitely feeling cold. Where's my co-host? I'm not the only MC up here. Colette Watson, get up here. Not doing this by myself. That's in my contract and my retainer. Yo, first of all, we gotta give a major shout out to the band for all they did. The Experience Band and Show. Give some love. Also, just some quick logistics. This rally here, a wake-up rally, is being hosted by the Voices for Internet Freedom Coalition, which is a coalition of a handful of organizations, including Color of Change. Yeah. It is a popularity contest, so definitely cheer loud. Free Press. Center for Media Justice. 18 Million Rising. And the National Hispanic Media Coalition. So that's collectively we are your hosts here for today. Couple more logistics. The hashtag for this event, hashtag digital civil rights, hashtag stop the FCC, hashtag net neutrality. Yeah. So get on the Twitters, get on the Instagrams, get on the Periscopes and other stuff I don't know about. Now I'm going to introduce my actual co-host here with me, Colette Watson from Free Press.
What's up, everybody? I got my own mic. You feeling all right? Are you feeling fired up? My name is Colette Watson. I'm here from Free Press Action Fund. You know, today is a day that I know that a lot of us have dreaded. But we're not here to sing sad songs. We're not here with our heads bowed. We're not here to be sad and down. We're here because our resistance is strong and getting stronger every day. We're here because the internet is power for the people. We're here because our voices cannot be drowned out. And we're here because we thought the biggest act of resistance, the biggest FU we could send to Ajit Pai, to the FCC majority, would be to center the voices of those most impacted, and that's people of color, that's the LGBTQ community, that's people who are elderly, people who are disabled, people who are depending on the internet. The internet matters to all of us, but today you're going to hear from voices that represent those communities. If that's all right, let me hear you say yeah. If that's all right, let me hear you say internet freedom. When I say internet, you say freedom. Internet. Internet. When I say internet, you say freedom. Internet. Internet. All right, so we're going to bring up our first speaker. Yeah?
We are. If I can get my microphone up. There we go. They had me muted. They wanted to make sure I didn't interrupt Colette. It's a good idea. All right. Like I said, like Colette said, we're going to center the voices of those most impacted, and we're going to kick it off with one of my good friends from an organization called Color of Change. She's the senior campaign director there, working on their media program. What else is in there? Democracy, economic justice. My God. They cover a broad range of things, and some of their campaigns have seen you see major shifts in our media system. You saw how Bill O'Reilly got kicked off of Fox News. Let's thank Color of Change for that. So let's bring up Brandy Collins.
Morning, everyone. How y'all feeling? So I'm riding a little bit on this Black Girl Magic bubble because last night I was on Melissa Harris Perry taping a podcast talking about net neutrality. And one of the things that she talked about that I'm still sitting with this morning is she actually started talking about feminism, which was the most looked up word online this year. And she said for her, feminism is a question. What truths are missing here? What are we missing? What are we excluding? What stories should be told and by who? And I started thinking about that, and I started thinking if feminism is a question, in some ways the internet has been our answer. Because to have an open internet means finding truths and redefining power. The power to create and share our own art with no filter, or maybe a dope filter. The ability to connect to our families and to find our communities, whether our communities are Black Lives Matters, Me Too, No Dapple, or net neutrality. The ability to start our own businesses with fewer barriers. The ability is to find our voting place and to help grassroots organizers route people in places like Alabama, even when people seek to suppress our vote. And in its purest form, the power of the internet is the ability to find our dignity and humanity, even when corporate media, corporate government, and others seek to take it away from us. People like Commissioner Clyburn and Commissioner Rosenworcel have come out to hear our stories and hear our truths. And when they voted for net neutrality, it's because they understood that our truths matter. This administration seeks to silence our truths. It's been hard to witness that, but when I'm out here with all of y'all and I see the millions of people online, I know that we will not be silenced, that we will keep fighting, and that we are here because we will not lay down and hand over our truth to corporate gatekeepers. Color of Change has been in this field for close to a decade, alongside our Voices partners, and we will be here tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that. And we won't forget, and we won't let our people forget who showed up in this critical moment, who sold out democratic principles, and who sat on the sidelines. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win, not just for ourselves, but for our descendants. And so I'm grateful to be here with all of you. I'm grateful to keep fighting. And we know that this fight goes on no matter what happens here today. There's a lot of incredible speakers, so I'm going to cede the mic to those folks. But thank you again.
Thank you, Brandy. Give it up for Brandy Collins and Color of Change. I'm such a huge fan. I still kind of fan out when I see Brandy. I'm like, oh, it's you from the emails. And I fan out over this next speaker as well, because many years ago, I first heard her music and followed her, and then realized that she wasn't just an artist, which is great to just be an artist, but that she's a person that isn't afraid to speak up on what's really happening with the people and speak truth to power. And then over the years, she's done so many things. She's created web series. She's really used all kinds of digital platforms. And now she's starring on HBO's Insecure. Who's watching Insecure? But if you're not watching her Insta stories every morning, you're missing out. She's speaking fire-breathing truth regarding net neutrality and the power of the internet. Please put your hands together for our next speaker, Amanda Seals.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, I'm clearly overdressed.
She said fire-breathing truths, and I just thought of how that would warm me up right now. I feel like it's just a great thing to see everybody out here and continuously fighting for this concept that I think a lot of people continuously don't know about net neutrality and what it is, because I think there aren't enough people speaking about it. There weren't enough people fighting for it. And I know for me, the internet has been able to change my life and allowed me to change other people's lives by having this free forum to be able to speak. And that is supposedly what this country is all about, right? You're supposedly supposed to be able to speak freely. You're supposed to have that space to speak. The problem is that when we start putting dollar signs on that, we are now limiting people from having the opportunity to not only give information, but also to receive information. And I think all of us here know that knowledge is what? And so if only a certain people have access to knowledge, that means only a certain people have access to. And we have to stay empowered. And when people are up here in these buildings making these decisions to keep you disempowered or unempowered, what's the proper word? Disempowered, unempowered, lack of powered. Let's just make it all up. Non-powered. We have to speak up. And I feel like there's people who will always try and say, like, well, why bother? Why show up? Why say anything? And it's like, if that were the case, we would still be drinking from water fountains that say colored and white people, okay? Like, if that was the case, we wouldn't have Title IX in place. If that was the case, then there's a number of things that we would still be saying, oh, well, we just have to deal with that. This is the thing about this country. We don't deal with shit, all right? We speak up. We say what we need to do, and we do what we need to do. And I'm so glad to be here with you all doing that and challenging this ridiculous, absolutely absurd idea that is now being possibly put into practice. And what I hope happens is that no matter what happens, we don't stop speaking. We don't stop challenging this, and we find ways to challenge it that are not only just individual, but are on a bigger scale, and that eventually shut it all down. All right? So I am going to pass the mic to whom? I'm not sure who I'm passing the mic. We're doing a lot of passing the mic today. All right? So we're doing a lot of passing the mic today. But I want to thank everybody here who is a part of helping this internet be actually something that is not just a place for internet girls and internet models and world star hip hop videos. I feel like what we are able to, with access to the internet, we're able to have a wide array of information and of entertainment and of art and of creativity and of voices. And as a black woman in this country, the internet has allowed me to have my own story, to have my own voice, and to no longer simply have to be at the whim and the behest of gatekeepers who have no interest in what I have to say and in what my life is representing. And so we have to continue to have a space for other individuals who are living that same life to be able to do that, whether they're black women, black men, whether they're Syrian refugees, whether they're white women who did not vote for Roy Moore, just in general, there needs to be a space for those who speak out, for those who are different, and for those who are challenging. And that is why we need to protect net neutrality. And I hope all of us continue this fight until we get it, until we get the victory. So I'm Amanda Seals. As she said, I be on this internet every day, talking, saying stuff people like, don't like. I'm not for everybody, but what you can know is that whatever I say is coming from an authentic place, and I want to continue to have the right to do that. So let's keep this wake-up call going and wake these fools up, y'all.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for season 3. All right, y'all, let's keep it moving. Let's do a little chanting. When I say internet, y'all say freedom. Internet! Freedom. Internet! Freedom. Internet! Internet! All right. Next up, my former congressman. I used to live in his district. A wonderful, amazing champion, not just for net neutrality, but on a whole host of other issues. Someone that anytime we are talking about justice, his name pops up. Let's give it up for Representative Keith Ellison.
Woo! You guys, it's about power. What we're talking about is power today. will the open internet be in service to the power of the people? Or will Ajit Pai and the Republicans and all those guys turn the power over to the monopolists who want to control us and throttle and block information that we need? The question is, are we going to stand by and let them do this, or are we going to raise our voices? Are we going to raise our voices and demand that the public internet be in service to the public? What about that? You know, these are our airwaves. The internet was started on the public dollar, and the internet should be open to the public. And I'm telling you right now that if we mobilize ourselves, if we organize right here and all over this country, if we never stop fighting, we will win this victory. The biggest enemy we have is if we decide those people are too powerful. The big internet service providers are too powerful. The people in the White House and in the FCC are too powerful. No, they're not powerful. We are the powerful. They derive any strength they got based on what we allow them to have. And right now, we're not allowing them to have no power. We demand it. We reclaim it. Now, I just want to say to you this, that what's going on here is that they are saying that if they allow the FCC, Ajit Pai allows big corporations to control and maximize profit and create fast lanes, then they're going to take some of the extra money they make, their monopoly profits, and they might open up some opportunities for some people who don't have them. Now, when has that ever happened? When has that ever happened? They say that, if you give the rich folks more tax cuts, they'll use it to make jobs and sprinkle down on the rest of us. Has that ever happened? If they don't have any regulations, any health and safety regulations, then they'll use the extra money to look after us. Has that ever happened? No, they are doing this so that they can reap more monopoly profit, so they can buy more political influence, so they can give themselves more bonuses, so they can create more mergers, so they can get rid of more jobs. It is to screw the American people, and we are not going to stand by for it. We are going to stand here, we're going to fight back, and we are going to win. Never give up. Keep it up. Let's go fight for our open internet, everybody.
Thank you. All right, y'all. Let's keep it moving. So 3 years ago, we were out here 3 years ago fighting for net neutrality. This is before the rules were passed. But there was another fight brewing in the country at the time, out in Ferguson, which became, after the murder of Michael Brown, Ferguson became a flashpoint for a conversation around police violence in this country. It became the opportunity, the platform for the birth of a movement like Black Lives Matter, to go from a hashtag to people organizing all over the country. So up next, it is my honor to bring up Damon Davis, a multimedia artist and a co-director of Whose Streets, a film about the murder of Michael Brown and the uprisings that happened in Ferguson shortly after that, which recently premiered in Sundance. Definitely check it out. Let's give it up. Damon Davis.
What's up? How y'all doing today? I'm from a small place in the middle of the country called St. Louis, by way of East St. Louis, Illinois. I don't know if y'all heard of that. I guess we get considered a flyover place, and people rarely pay attention to how we live. You know what I'm saying? And so a couple of years back, a kid was killed, and we all went out into the street to get justice for him. And we wouldn't have been able to mobilize. We wouldn't have been able to get any attention on it. And nobody would have known what happened to us after the protest started without a free internet. Without a free internet. We wouldn't know about uprisings in other countries. Nobody would know about places like St. Louis, Flint, Michigan, things of that nature, and the things that the powers that be get to do to us without a free internet. So before I made this movie, Whose Streets, this year, I actually came here. Free Press brought me here to talk about this specific thing to members of Congress, net neutrality. And I remember it was a hard concept for me to grasp in the beginning until I realized that it wasn't just about having to pay a little bit more for Netflix or having to, you know what I'm saying, get charged to tweet and things of that nature. That's one thing, and that's bad. But imagine if they just turned the news off. Imagine if they blacked us out when Ferguson was happening. So for all of the people that aren't on the coast and the people that get forgotten a lot, I just want y'all to know that this is a big issue where we come from. So understand that I stand with you, and everybody that I come from is really worried about this, and we thinking about it. So the real question is what we finna do now. So thank y'all for letting me speak today. I really appreciate it. And just keep up the good fight, y'all. Peace, peace.
Thank you, David. From Whose Streets to Whose Nets, man. This is the fight right here. All right, coming up next, we got some more congressional champions coming up here. Because even though we got a failure leadership going on inside the FCC, we do have people we can count on. And next up is Representative Jose Serrano from New York, who's been a long-time net neutrality champion, fighting in the trenches with us from day one. Congressman Jose Serrano.
Good morning. Now, you could tell that Congressman Keith Ellison is from Minnesota. He came up here with just a jacket and a tie. I'm used to New York, and even though he claims it gets cold out there, I know that on the Grand Concourse between two buildings, when the wind blows, it's as cold as Minnesota and its worst day. Now, remember, I could do this as in 2 sentences, but I won't because you'll be disappointed I didn't say a few more words. It's the internet, not the elite net. It's not supposed to be for some people. It's supposed to be for all people. People get their information from it. It has to be open to everyone. Now, I represent a community mostly of Latinos and African Americans and folks from Africa and other countries like that. Now, in other continents like Africa. And one of the things I notice is that every day more and more and more and more people at senior centers, in hospitals, in areas of recreation are using the internet to get information and, yes, to be at times entertained because they can find movies and information that they haven't seen for years and they remember from their youth and so on. So remember what you're fighting for here. You're just not fighting a fight against corporations. You're fighting against corporations for the people who don't have a voice. You are their voice. This is why you're here today. And I want you to say it after me. It's the internet. Not the elite net. It's not for some people. Now, when I was on the Appropriations Committee, subcommittee that handled the FCC, I made sure every year to make sure that we put language in the bill allowing this not to happen and moving towards where we are today at this point. Now, last year, of course, things changed, and a new man came to the White House, and a new group came in. And so when we put in amendments to do the same thing, we were defeated. But we're not defeated yet, my friends. One thing I've learned in all my years in public office is that whatever gets put down in law, whatever puts down in regulations, can hear an outcry from the people, and there's a turnaround. And this is what we need to do. We need to educate our community. We need to let them know of the importance of the internet belonging to everyone. And I'll close with this. When it was created, when it began to take off, it was understood that it would serve and service all people. It is not for the big money grubbers now to determine who's going to have access, who's going to have information, who's going to have knowledge, who's going to have education. No, it belongs to you, just like this country belongs to you, just like the flag belongs to you. Don't let anybody take any of those things away from you, because they belong to all of you. So this So this congressman from the South Bronx stands with you. Wow. I've never been hit that hard in the South Bronx. But I'll speak from here. And I'm doing that with a pull muscle on my leg. I'm a tough guy. Where was I? Lastly, it's not just the internet. It's just not net neutrality. There's a lot in this country where they're saying that flag is mine, it's not yours. This country is mine, it's not yours. This immigration policy is mine, it's not yours. That's not true. It belongs to all of us, and make sure that you stand up for it, even if you have to get pushed off a stage. Don't worry about it. All I got from that, my friends, and I leave you with this, was a boost to go further. And I found out that when you push me off a stage, I still know how to speak afterwards. Thank you so much. One last comment. In Spanish, we have a saying, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you walk with, and I'll tell you who you are. I walk with you, you walk with me, we walk with Net Neutrality, we're together, we are one, we shall not be defeated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We got to get you to stretch later. Stretch that out. Wow, that was quite the wake-up call with this big alarm clock. All right, y'all, we're going to keep it rolling to the next congressional champion from the great state of Washington. Shout out to Seattle. All right, we got one Seattle person. But if you're on the live stream, you can shout too. Let's bring her up, Representative Jamila Prayapal.
Hello, good morning, fighters for justice. How are you doing? My name is Pramila Jayapal, and I represent the 7th Congressional District in the state of Washington. I've been an organizer all my life, a civil rights advocate, an immigrant rights advocate, and activist. We've had a lot worse than clocks falling over on us on the stage, right? We know how to deal with that. The reason I call you fighters for justice is because the internet is not just the internet. The internet is about our democracy. It is about justice. It is about ensuring access for people across this country to be able to work, to be able to organize, to be able to fight for justice. If you think about the Me Too movement, if you think about Black Lives Matter, if you think about every social movement in this country that has been able to use the internet and think about what they are trying to do to silence our voices, there is one answer, and it is hell no. We are not going to let you change this rule. And if they need to bring out dead people to submit comments on this rule, then you know they are nervous about the power that we have. And let's be very clear about what this rule would mean for communities of color across the country. We already know that the lack of access to the internet in communities of color is substantial. We know that Black and brown communities, that low-income communities, rural communities across this country are suffering, can't get jobs, can't get access to the information. And all this will do, because I'm on the Judiciary Committee and we had a hearing on this, and I can tell you there was not one argument that was made for why we need to change these rules. Why would we give all of the power to a quasi-monopoly of internet service providers who can throttle and block the content? There is only one reason for that, and it is because they want to make more money. That's all that this is about. And it is not right, and we are going to fight, and we need you in this fight. I want to say thank you, because they think that this might be over if they vote on it today. Let me ask you, is it going to be over? Are you going to go home and be quiet? Are we going to force them if they take this vote? First of all, they should not take this vote. They should not take this vote. Even Republicans are saying that this is the wrong vote to take. And so they should delay this vote. But even if they think they're going to steamroll us today, we are going to fight and we are going to win, because this is the era of the people. And we we did in Virginia, we are going to win. Thank you all so much.
Representative Pramila Jayapal, my sincerest apologies for that. Make some noise. If you're feeling cold, make some noise. All right, so here's what we're going to do because y'all are feeling cold. What helps when you're feeling cold is to get your body moving. So we're going to take a 3-minute musical break to get your body moving. And I want to see people moving out here. And we got the Experience Band and Show. We're going to play a little bit more for us. They're gone. Oh, no. That was quite the experience. They came and went. All right, so we're going to play some music here off of the mixer, give you a 3-minute break, and then we'll keep it rolling.
She's with Senator Markey. She's one of our MCs today.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Give him a big warming. Give him a big welcome. Pump this thing up. Well, it's sad we're out here, but we got to be out here.
Did you guys try to get a...
I'm feeling. I said, how's everyone feeling? Listen, I know you're cold, so I'm gonna help you out. Let me get people to move closer to the stage. Come in a little bit. I used to sing in a go-go band, which is like a hip-hop, funk kind of genre. Chocolate City, y'all out here. And what we do at the shows is we say, get close to the stage, get close to each other. So bring it in, 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 bring it in. Come on, let's get close. We're here to save the internet. I said we're here to save the internet. And I'm about to bring someone to the stage who's also from my home state, South Carolina. She's a long time vocal. I can't even think. I'm going to make up an adjective to describe just the fire that she has brought to this fight for a very long time. An advocate for the people, an advocate for net neutrality, for internet freedom, for Title II. Everybody, please show love to FCC Commissioner Mignon Clyburn.
Good morning, net neutrality supporters. How you doing out here? So we're right next door to a place that is going to make a significant decision today. But we're right next door to some people who speak for those who recognize that equality over the internet is a right. Now, if I were to base success or the arc of justice on one vote today, I would be short-sighted and sad. But while I must admit that I am outraged today about what we are poised to do, I know in my heart of hearts that the millions of people who recognize the power, the potential, and the opportunities we have with an open, inclusive online platform is our number one priority today. I am here to tell you that in the long run, we will be victorious. Now I'm going to yield my time to some lawmakers who they've got your back. But what I will say to you today is a lot of people are questioning, just what is net neutrality? I've got family members, I've got friends, I've got a mom who's like, I'm not sure exactly what it all is. But you do what you think is right. Mom, I am doing what I think is right. And what is right is what I heard summed up the best on yesterday when I was on a radio show with Joe Madison. He said, Commissioner, I'm hearing everything you say, but you know what this is about? This is about internet equality. This is about internet equality. And you've got two people that will sit in those chairs today, and they will be your voices for internet equality. But you've got a court system, you've got Congress people, you've got millions of people who are in your corner, and we will achieve internet equality. Internet equality, net neutrality. We will win at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Give it up for Commissioner Clyburn. And I just feel that we're all so indebted to her. She did something this summer and continues to do something that others inside that building have not done. She listens to the people. She traveled. I know personally that she was in Los Angeles. She was in Atlanta at public forums, hearing from the people about the real impact of net neutrality and what it really means. And it's a crying shame that this decision is being pushed today by folks who have not gone out and listened to the public. So guess what? The public is here today to make sure they hear our voices. And speaking of people who listen to our voices, the next person I'm going to bring up is another longtime champion of this issue. And you need to pay attention to who the members of Congress are that are listening to us and who have made public, vocal statements calling for a stop to this vote, calling for us to keep the current net neutrality rules. This individual has done that and more. I have from Massachusetts, the great state of Massachusetts, Senator Wyden, who's going to come up and talk to us right now about net neutrality. So when I made that quick turn, that was my brain falling out of my right ear. I don't know if y'all saw it. Senator Ed Markey, put your hands together.
Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. This is the issue of our time. And we are out here in the cold to turn the heat up on the Federal Communications Commission. They are going to feel the political pressure of tens of millions of people across this country who do not want to see net neutrality repealed. They are going to know, all of those in Congress, all of those in the FCC, that there is going to be a political price to pay for taking net neutrality away from the American people. This is a fundamental issue of equality, so that the smallest entrepreneur, the smallest voice has equal access to the internet. This is about ensuring that every single voice is heard. This is about ensuring that people, without fear that they will be cut off, can say Black Lives Matter. Si se puede. That they can say, yes, she persisted, that it is possible for any voice, no matter how small, to be online, that any company, no matter how small, can get online without fear of having themselves tipped upside down and having money shaken out of their pockets by the big broadband barons. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to file an amicus brief in the federal courts with Anna Eshoo to make sure that we take this fight to the courts and all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States if that is necessary. I am going to file a Congressional Review Act to make sure that the Congress has to vote on whether or not net neutrality rules are changed in the United States Congress. We must make these people accountable. We must make sure that we stand up for the little entrepreneur, for the smallest voice in our country, because on every part of net neutrality, there is one thing that separates the people here from the people on the FCC who are going to repeal these rules. We are right and they are wrong, ladies and gentlemen. And so let us now ensure that we stay in this fight, that we make them pay a political price, that we have razor blade sharp political edges on this issue, and that we bring this issue into the 2018 congressional races across this country. Make people be accountable for taking away net neutrality from people all across our country. Let's get out there and fight. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Ed Markey. Right now, I want to bring someone else to the stage that I've been a fan of for a long time as well. Some of you may have heard there was a little general election last year. And during that time, this individual served as National Press Secretary for Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. She is now a CNN contributor. I'm sure you all have seen her speaking truth to power on behalf of all of us on national television every night. Please put your hands together and show love for Simone D. Sanders.
Somebody say free the internet. Free the internet. Okay, y'all, let me just give y'all some real talk. First of all, give it up for the good senator. Because what he just said is really important, because today is a very monumental vote. And I'm just going to tell y'all, it looks like it might not go our way. It looks like the people are not going to stand on the right side. Some of them are, like our FCC Commissioner, Ms. Mignon Clyburn. But some people won't. And when they don't, we have to hold them accountable. We have to continue to organize. We have to support our members of Congress. How many of y'all are members of the resistance? There is no resistance without a free and open internet. So we have to organize. We have to get people on one accord. We have to make this a 2018 electoral issue. It is absolutely imperative that folks understand that a vote against keeping the internet open and free is a vote against poor people in this country, is a vote against people of color in this country, is a vote against activists in this country, is a vote against democracy. And we're not going to stand for that, but we have to get serious. We have to continue to talk about it. And I know we know, but we have to take it to our networks, and we have to take it before they try to shut the internet down. So I am here because I believe in this work. I believe that we can make a difference. I believe that although I don't think the vote gonna go our way today, that we can make a difference 6 months from now, a year from now. And we're gonna keep the internet open, and we are going to keep the internet free. Somebody say, free the internet. Free the internet. Free the internet. Let's get this thing done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's keep it moving. Next up, we got a congressional champion out of the state, my home state of California. Here to prove to you that Silicon Valley, representing Silicon Valley, and his leadership there and in Congress has demonstrated his ability to be a champion on net neutrality. Let's give it up for Representative Ro Khanna.
Thank you. Thank you for being out here. Thank you to Free Press. Let me say, they say to me, oh, Ro, you represent Silicon Valley. You're a techie. This is some techie issue. Let me tell you, this is not a techie issue. This is a very simple issue. It's an issue for the middle class of this country. And let me tell you what's going to happen if they repeal net neutrality. When you're paying $25, $30 to get access to the internet, now you're going to get nickeled and dimed for extra email use, for extra use of surfing the web, for using Facebook or social media. You'll get charged an extra $7. When you download video, you'll get charged an extra amount. Is that the world? Is that the world that people want? They first have to pay a basic fee just to access the internet, and then they get charged for every single application they use? What the internet service companies want to do, 4 companies, AT&T, Time Warner, Verizon, and Charter, here's what they want to do. They want to turn the internet into cable. They want people to pay for every subscription, every application. And that's just not what's in the interest of ordinary Americans. Let me say one more thing. We pay in this country 3 times more for internet access than people do in France. Have you ever wondered why is that the case? We invented the internet. We should be paying the cheapest amount. The reality, though, is that there's a monopoly of 4 companies. And that's what we got to tell folks. This is not a fight on some technical issue. It's a simple fight. Do you believe that these 4 monopolies deserve more money and should have more profits and people should pay more? Or do you think people should still pay a decent, fair price? That's what this whole debate is about. Let me say one more point, because this is their argument. Let's take their argument at face value. I mean, this is really the argument they're making. They're saying that if consumers pay more, if we start charging them to use email and charging them an extra fee for social media, charging them an extra fee for video, so they're paying a lot more money, these 4 companies are going to take that money and expand access to the internet. That's their argument. I mean, who thinks that giving more profits to AT&T, Time Warner, and Comcast and Charter is going to result in them putting more internet access into inner cities or rural America? It's laughable. It's laughable. We could get the entire country wired for $80 billion and have a program like FDR had with electrification in rural communities. That's how you access the internet. This is such an important fight because the facts are on our side, because the internet is the one place which hasn't been corrupted by special interests. Congress has been corrupted. The media has had undue influence. Every other place there has been corruption and special interests. We need to keep the internet free. We need to keep the internet a place that is not corrupted by these 4 companies that care simply about their profits. Thank you for being out here.
All right. If it feels like it's gotten a little more cozy in here and more people have shown up, let me tell you something. That is not an optical illusion. No, you're not getting frostbite. Let me talk about dedication. We had 40 plus people hop on a bus from Philadelphia this morning. Yeah. Where my Philly people at? Make some noise. Go Eagles. All right. So, we got 40 plus people who hopped on a bus early this morning to make their way down here. They just got here. They're ready to rally with us, ready to wake up this FCC with us. So let's keep it rolling. Next up, we got a law professor from Georgetown University, Arjun Sethi.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start by acknowledging and thanking everyone who's been on the front lines of this struggle for years. People have been fighting for an equal and open internet, and I want to start by just acknowledging them. So net neutrality is a civil rights issue. It is a human rights issue. It is a racial justice issue. Why? Because the repeal of net neutrality is part of this administration's continued war on civil rights, civil liberties, and communities of color. This administration wants to give internet service providers the ability to prioritize certain views, disfavor certain views, block certain views, or even slow down one's ability to access certain views online. And what will that do? That is a fundamental threat and infringement on free speech, association, and expression. And that fundamentally impacts us, people who are organizing, people who are mobilizing. It impacts our ability to say Black Lives Matter, Me Too, to stand up against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Even if you think of the international context and the Arab uprisings, arguably they could not have been possible without the ability of an open and free internet to connect, to organize, to mobilize, to politically educate one another. And what do we use the internet for? We use it to speak truth to power. We use it to confront the most dangerous forces of our time: racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, discrimination, sexism, misogyny, Islamophobia. We need an open and free internet. We need an equal internet so that we are able to confront these challenges. The reason we do not have, or we may not have, this opportunity going forward is because this administration is clearly captured by special interest politics. Ajit Pai is a former Verizon executive. He doesn't care about the people of this country, nor does this administration, which caters to one interest and one interest alone, and that is special interest politics. I'll end today by asking you to think about all the wonderful things that the open and free internet has done for you, has done for us. The ability to connect with one another, the ability to learn from one another, the ability to organize, the ability to rally. We owe it to our children. We owe it to our kids to make sure that they have the same opportunities to connect with one another, to learn with one another, that we did as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's right. What has the internet done for you? And I think this next speaker will speak to a lot of people in this crowd. In a world where you can't afford health care, in a world where finding information about your health, your reproductive rights can only be found online, organizations like this one are out here trying to connect to a community of people that can often feel very isolated. Next up, Policy Director from the National Network of Abortion Funds, Melissa Torres Montoya.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Torres Montoya, and I'm the Policy Director, as he just said, of the National Network of Abortion Funds. Today I'm going to talk about what it's actually like to deal with net neutrality, without a world without net neutrality. The National Network of Abortion Funds builds power with 70 abortion funds around the country and in several other countries around the world. We build power to remove barriers to access to abortion, to remove financial and logistical barriers. For us, we work at the intersection of racial and economic and reproductive justice. For us, net neutrality is crucial to abortion access. When callers are seeking an abortion, time is of the essence. They need to know that information as soon as they discover that they might have a pregnancy that they want to terminate. There are thousands of restrictions passed meant to delay access to abortion. If someone isn't able to access our website because a provider has deemed abortion a controversial issue and not the healthcare issue that it is, it means someone will have delayed care and maybe no access to care at all. They'll have to sort through lies and deceit. There are anti-abortion groups that will stop at nothing to make sure that someone does not get the health care that they need. At the National Network of Abortion Funds, we're already seeing what this is like. In some countries, our website is blocked. In some schools, our website, we testify, which has storytellers sharing their abortion stories, is blocked. It removes the ability for people who have had an experience like an abortion, who feel isolated, from connecting with each other. If someone breaks down and slows the internet for different groups, disenfranchised groups will not have access to know where they can get their health care, how they can talk to someone else who's had an experience. These are often people who are most marginalized, who have the least access to health care. So net neutrality for us, blocking the internet, slowing it down, it builds and increases stigma to abortion. Net neutrality is an abortion access issue. As my shirt says, if everyone can see, everyone loves someone who's had an abortion. 1 in 4 women have had an abortion. And so whether you know it or not, you know someone who has had an abortion. And net neutrality, they're depending on net neutrality to access information. Abortion access is a human right. Say it with me. Abortion access is a human right. Access to information is a human right. Access to information is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. So abortion funds around this country stand for net neutrality, and we will not stop until there is free and unfettered access to the internet and to abortion care. Thank you very much. No, thank you.
Make sure it's a long jump. All right, everyone, we're still here. Are you still here? Are you still here to save the internet? I'm bringing someone onto the stage right now who is a vocal. I'm bringing 2 someones onto the stage right now. Vocal supporters for the internet. Representative Eshu.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Internet Coalition, to Color of Change. It's warm here because you all are. So thank you. Thank you for your advocacy. We know that it was a struggle. It was a struggle to establish the protections of the internet. And we won that. We won that. And then there was a struggle in the courts. and we won that. And today we're here to defend what has been achieved. And it's so important because the internet has been transformational. It's changed our lives, but it's how we learn. It's how we do business. It is a product of American genius, but it's even larger than that. It's all about equality. It is about democracy. It is about free expression. These are the values of our country that are embedded in the internet. And what the FCC chairman is taking on today is an entirely different battle, because he's taking the internet and handing it over to the 4 large giant ISPs. The internet belongs to all of us. So we're up for this battle, aren't we? And we're going to win this battle because we're going to win it in court. So keep the faith, everyone. Keep the faith. We're with you. We're going to be engaged, and we're going to win this one. So thank you, everyone. And now I want to, he doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give him one. This is the father of the effort in the United States Senate, Senator Ron Wyden.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman Eshoo, our tremendous champion. We're here to tell you that political change doesn't start in Washington, D.C., and then trickle down. Political change is bottom up. It comes from the grassroots. And as we know, millions of Americans are weighing in. And let's be clear about what we're talking about. Never should a giant corporation prioritize whose voice is heard, whose content is seen, and who is silenced on the internet. We won't let that happen. But it's not hypothetical, because in 2007, Verizon blocked text messages from advocates it said were controversial or unsavory. Now, we know here at the FCC, we're playing a tough hand. But I don't have to tell you, we've won before when it comes to protecting the internet. You might remember a couple of years ago, those bills, PIPA and SOPA, that were going to change what the internet was all about. Nobody thought we had a prayer. 40 senators were on the other side. Hollywood, the Chamber of Commerce, all the money. But you know what we had? 3 days before the big vote, 15 million Americans weighed in, and the people won. So we wanted to come by and say that this is going to be a fight till we win. We know we've got our hands full at the FCC. But as the Congresswoman said, we're just getting started. We're just getting started. We're going to play a stronger hand in the courts. We know that, I heard a rumor, Congresswoman, there's an election coming up. I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to be against an internet where after you pay your internet access fee, you get to go where you want, when you want, how you want. That's what the internet's about. That's what we're going to defend. We're going to stay at it until we win. Watch your step. Yeah. It's really hard. Watch the big one.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Senator, and thank you also, Representative Eshoo. Put your hands together. As they just said, the internet is all about our voices, and the next voice that you're going to hear is one of the brightest, sharpest, most unapologetic feminist voices that we have today. She's vice president of Cassius, which is a programming division of I1. She's a former editor at Ebony Magazine, and I know that you know of her from the ubiquitous Black Twitter, but Jamila Lemieux.
Good morning. I speak to you today as someone whose career would not exist were it not for the open internet. And I don't think that 1 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 stories of individual professional success are enough to inspire people to care about this thing. So what that I got to work in a magazine or work on a website, right? But we say that everyone has a voice, but few people get access to a microphone. The open internet has given people of color, women of color, black people, black women like myself, who would not be heard, who would not occupy positions of power and influence in media and other fields of industry, if we did not have the ability to agitate, to resist, to tell our truths. You don't have the modern day anti-police violence movement without the open internet. And even the unsuccessful prosecutions or grand juries that have decided not to prosecute people who have used and misused their power as police officers, we would not even know those names were it not for the open internet. We've only just begun to tap into the potential of this resource. This is war. This is war on the poor. This is war on women. This is a war on people of color. This is a war on any actually principled person who considers themselves to be an American. If things do not go in the way that we need them to go today, we push harder. We scream louder. We use the access that we have right now, and we demand justice for ourselves and for our loved ones. And speaking of which, the internet is just not an opportunity to further your education or your career. We're starting families there. Some of us have children that were born because of a relationship that started on the internet. We are learning more about ourselves and the world around us than that our ancestors could have ever dreamed of. Please continue to fight this fight, continue to resist, and continue to demand that we are able to use technology that was created to make our lives better to do exactly that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamila. I got to hold her purse. I'm so excited. All right, next up, we got 2 people inside the FCC who are our champions. You heard from one of them earlier, Commissioner Clyburn. Next up, Commissioner Jessica Rosenworcel.
I like this. You're raising a ruckus. Woohoo! All right, I'm going to have to make it quick. In a few short minutes, I'm going to walk inside that building and take a vote that is wrong. There is so much that is not right about what the FCC is doing here today. There is so much that is not right about this agency's effort to roll back net neutrality. Net neutrality is internet freedom. It means every one of us can go where we want and do what we want online without our broadband providers getting in the way or making choices for us. We do not need to hand them the power to choose which voices to amplify, to choose what connections we make and what communities we create. I am bothered by the incredible contempt this agency has shown the American people who have spoken out in droves to make one thing clear,
and it's that they support net neutrality. And it doesn't matter if you are from a big city or a small town, you benefit from internet openness. It doesn't matter if you are a progressive or a conservative, you benefit from internet openness. It doesn't matter if you are a startup or an established business, you benefit from internet openness. Internet openness is how our democracy thrives in the digital age, and we may be taking the wrong vote today. But I'm not giving up, and neither should any of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Jessica Rosenworth, so we know you're on our side. All right, we're going to take a quick 3-minute break so that you can get your bodies moving and we can get a little bit warmer before we keep it rolling. Get some music on.
Ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Chairman Pye has got to go! Woo! best black organizers in the country today, fighting for the liberation of black people all across the country and the world. She's a DMV native, and she currently serves as the national co-organizing chair for Black Youth Project 100, which is an organization fighting for the liberation of young black people all across the country. So I'm going to bring up Brianna Gibson, who's going to tell you a little bit about what the internet means to young black people in our work fighting for justice.
Thank you, Erin. You're very kind. I appreciate all the kind words. I'm really glad to be out here with you all today. As Erin said, I'm National Organizing Co-Chair of BYP 100, and we are an organization of young black 18 to 35-year-old organizers and activists who are fighting for justice and a just future for all black people. And so the way in which we came about is after the Zimmerman verdict, the person who murdered Trayvon Martin, we had 100 black organizers and activists who decided that they wanted to form an organization with the recognition that the stories of young black people were not being told as they should be in our mainstream narratives. And with the recognition that there was no meaningful engagement for people who are young, black, and between the ages of 18 and 35, and actually knew that black people need agency and we are going to build power in order to affect change in our futures. And so part of us building power has been via an open internet. We've used the internet to tell our stories. We've used the internet to spread images of direct actions, to spread campaigns, and to inspire other people and let folks know that you actually don't have to sit back and just take whatever the state's giving you. You don't have to sit back and take whatever corporations say is what the norm is in our society. But you can fight back and you can say no. You can say no on the internet. You can come to some organizing meetings and say no with members of your communities. You can run campaigns to say no and to actually stop these things from happening. And I think that's been really powerful and transformative also as an organization that does a lot of direct action. And as a direct action practitioner for myself, for folks to be able to see and for me to participate in the act of saying no with my body, right? And how that message has spread around the world and encouraged more people to stand up and be like, no, we're not going for that. As well as hear the stories of folks in other places. So whether you are in Prince George's County, where I'm from, if you're in Brooklyn, where I currently live, in Oakland, if you're in St. Louis, if you're in Texas, if you're in Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, that you can look and see, I see young black people standing up and fighting, and they're talking about stuff that impacts me too. So I know this isn't an individual issue, and there's nothing wrong with me, but these are systems that are built to oppress us and to keep us down. And so how can we strategize together to overturn these systems and build power within our communities? And the internet has been able to facilitate those conversations, build that community, and help us to build power. But we know that building power, especially the power of young black folks, is not popular. It's not profitable. We know that anti-blackness is profitable. We know that keeping people oppressed is profitable. And so that's something that corporations and the elite are not going to like. So people fighting against net neutrality, they're doing it for profit, but also understand that it's a power move on their part, right? So they see that we're building power with each other and we're becoming a force to be reckoned with. And we are making sure we're forcing the media to acknowledge our narratives. We're forcing other Americans to acknowledge the things that we have to say and recognize that actually we are aware of these systems and we're a lot smarter than you think. And we are running campaigns to undermine these systems and we're going to win. Because we're building with folks, black folks here, we're building with black folks internationally, and we're building with all of our siblings around the world who are standing with us and know what justice is and what it looks like and that we don't live in that society right now. And so understand that that's also a power move and they want to stop us from building power. But here's the thing. We know power belongs to the people. And I know that the young black folks that I organize are badass. And that we're going to keep transforming the society in order to ensure that power is in the hands of the people. And through that fight, we also are going to be sure that the voices of the most marginalized are centered and amplified in ways that folks don't want them to be because they know that it's going to impact change in our society and it's going to shake a lot of stuff up. So just know that even if today's vote doesn't go in our favor or the vote continues, that we're still here and we're still fighting, and it's definitely not over because we're not letting up until we reach liberation and we're not going back. Thank you.
Yeah. One more time for Brianna and Black Youth Project 100. Liberation. I want to bring someone up to the stage next. She's with National Hispanic Media Coalition, which, for those of you watching, just in case you didn't know, you're watching the Net Neutrality Wake Up Rally brought to you by Voices of Internet Freedom, which includes National Hispanic Media Coalition, Color of Change, Center for Media Justice, Free Press Action Fund, 18 Million Rising, Credo sponsored the live stream, a whole bunch of dope people and organizations. Put your hands together, y'all, for our coalition. I'm bringing to the stage the Director of Legal Affairs and other fancy governmental things for National Hispanic Media Coalition, Francella Ochillo.
Hello, you guys. I'm so thankful that so many of you decided to brave the cold and stay out here. I speak for the National Hispanic Media Coalition. My name is Francella Ochillo, and we are fighting for Latinos across this country. For those of you who could not be here today, I am talking to you. Latinos are one of the largest segments of the American population, and they are still one of the most disconnected, and that is not okay. What is happening today, the FCC is making that even worse. The FCC is giving your internet service provider a chance to silence minority voices. Congressman Ellison said earlier that this internet was created for the people, by the people, and on the public dollar. So we, as the people, have to fight back. We have to resist. Now, when I think about Latino entrepreneurs across this country, the ones who've used the internet to find opportunity, to find funding, to find new customers, they will essentially be silenced by corporations who can afford to appear at the top of your web search. For those writers and musicians and other artists and content creators who will be sidelined and essentially pushed aside, their voices will be silenced, and you will find that they are harder and harder to find online. And for all of the people of color across this nation who use the internet as a platform to organize for change, to resist, to protest, to demand social justice, those people will be able to be silenced by their providers who can censor their content or block it altogether. None of this is okay. And so what I am asking you today is to see this for what it is. This is an attack on our 21st century civil rights. This means that the FCC is cutting into our ability to speak freely, to protest, to organize, and to fully participate in a 21st century economy. And that's not okay. So what I need you to do, especially all of you watching on TV today, I need you to get involved in this conversation. It's not enough that 20 million people filed comments. We need to hear from all of you. So today, call your congressman, call your senator, fill up their Twitter feed, send them a message on Facebook, call them in their offices, in your home office, force them to be accountable. This government works for the people, and we demand that they protect consumers today. Thank you so much, you guys. Fight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Francella. Give it up one more time. National Hispanic Media Coalition. The next person I'm going to bring to the stage is a dear friend. She is the Deputy Director of Free Press Action Fund. She's also Senior Counsel. She's also magical and amazing. Please give it up for Jessica Gonzalez.
Good morning. In 1970, Gil Scott Heron told us that the revolution will not be televised. And you know what? He was right. It wasn't televised. We waited more than 30 years to have our voices heard, to have Black voices heard, Latinx voices heard, Asian American voices heard, Native voices heard in the mainstream. And by mainstream, I mean the internet. Today, the revolution is televised. We can go to our mobile phones, we can go to our internet connections, and we can find out what's happening to our community across the country. We can connect. We can tell our stories. We can fight injustice. We can fight against the murder of Black people in the streets. We can fight against families being separated by the cruel and heartless immigration system. And we can stand up and we can call attention to that. That's what this is about today, guys. Don't let them look, I'm a lawyer. Don't let them use that legal speak to distract you. You know,
This is about people. We will not stand, and I will tell you from Free Press Action Fund that once this vote goes down, we will sue the FCC. We will call on Congress to undo this terrible mess that's being made. This will not stand. This will not stand. Free the internet.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica Gonzalez. All right, I'd be remiss if we didn't shout out some of the wonderful organizations that have been part of a mass coalition of groups that have been fighting to stop this horrible vote from happening. This isn't the first time many of you have showed up at a rally, done actions, etc. So let's give some shout outs to groups like Fight for the Future, make some noise. Demand Progress, make some noise. Open Technology Institute, make some noise. United Church of Christ, make some noise. A lot of wonderful organizations that have been at the forefront of fighting. One other group that's been doing that is a wonderful group called 18 Million Rising. And coming up to the stage, affiliated with 18MR, we got Deepa Iyer.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing? All right, well, I am an Asian American and I'm a South Asian American here today to tell you that saving the net is a civil rights issue that affects Asian Americans all across the United States. You might not know that Asian Americans are actually the fastest growing racial group in the United States. So this is an issue that affects each and every one of us. Nearly 2 million Asian Americans are living below the U.S. poverty line. This includes Southeast Asians, South Asians, and many others whose access to vital information in English and in their own languages will be diminished without net neutrality. Our communities are also relying on an open internet to organize ourselves. Groups like 18 Million Rising that I'm affiliated with mobilize thousands of Asian Americans through online organizing and viral petitions. And you might remember the Muslim ban, remember that? In January? Boo on the Muslim ban, right? People went online immediately to organize themselves, to share vital information, to find lawyers and information about their rights. The internet is a powerful tool for social justice organizing, but if we can't utilize it, if we can't access it, then we can't shape our narratives and share our stories and organize each other. And the net becomes a tool for who? For people who want to advance white supremacist, anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant, anti-women agendas. And we will not stand for that. Now I have one more message. And I have a message for Ajit Pai, right? The chairman of the FCC. As someone, and this is also a message for South Asians who might be listening to this. As someone who is from the South Asian community, Ajit Pai is no friend to the South Asian community. South Asians stand to be affected by the repeal of net neutrality, from low-income community members to business owners to innovators to students. Ajit Pai, we will remember where you stood on this issue. We will also remember that dismantling net neutrality is just part and parcel of the hostile agenda of this administration. This is the administration, right, that has given us the Muslim ban, the refugee ban, the border wall, the raids. These assaults are all connected. But listen up, Mr. Pai, we're not going to turn away. South Asians in particular will not forget where you stood on this issue, and we will hold you accountable. So join me in saying, ho ho, hey hey, Chairman Pai has got to go, ho ho, hey hey, Chairman Pai has got to go, ho ho, hey hey, Chairman Pai has got to go. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Deepa. All right, we're going to get our body moving for just a couple minutes just to get us warmed up. If you need coffee, we got some coffee, we got some donuts. The coffee might not be hot anymore, but you should still drink it. We're going to play a little bit of music and then we'll keep it rolling. DJ, what you got for me? Our bodies moving. I want you to do one thing for me. Even though there's some people in that building who don't believe in net neutrality, there's a lot of people that actually do. Everyday staffers. They don't work on the 8th floor. They work everywhere else. So I want you to look up there, hold up your signs, give a little shout out to the people out there, that's right, who are fighting for us on the inside. Yeah. That's right. All right. We're going to keep it rolling. I know how y'all are feeling. It's cold out here. I'm cold. So we're going to go towards our last slate of speakers. So I need you to be hella hype, hella energetic for all these people. The next couple folks we're bringing up here are folks that if you ever need someone to camp out overnight somewhere, these are the folks to call. These are the folks that they go hella hard and we love them for it. We got Kevin and Margaret from Popular Resistance.
How's everybody doing? So, I want to first give a shout out to all the people that stayed here with us last night, and all the people who stopped by, people that brought us coffee and things to eat, and helped us decorate the FCC so that when the employees came in this morning, they knew why we were here. So, Popular Resistance was created because all around the United States and all around the world, communities are engaged in struggles to fight for their rights. But largely people didn't know that the other groups existed. And we wanted to provide a platform so that we could cover that resistance movement and also show the positive alternatives that people are building in their communities. When the net neutrality fight started in 2014, we had to get involved. First, because the internet is a basic necessity for life for all of us, right? And we know that when that right becomes a privilege, inequality worsens, and we couldn't be silent in the face of that. But we also fight for net neutrality because we know that as the corporate assault worsens, as the wealth divide worsens, as the oppression worsens, they're going to silence the dissent. And without net neutrality, they have greater power to do that, and we can't let that happen. So we're going to continue to fight with you. We know that when the people are organized and fight together, we can win. Popular power is stronger than the elite power. We just have to understand that we have that power. And so we're with you through this fight. We hope that you will continue to go out and organize in your communities, pressure your members of Congress, and know that sometimes we have to occupy space in order to win.
Thank you all for coming out and being cold with us. It's nice to have your warm bodies around us. I just want to make one point. Today, the movement is going to commit an act of movement judo. We're going to take the energy from Ajit Pai, the little measly energy he has, a 3-2 vote, and the 90% of the people who support a free and open internet, internet justice, economic racial justice, net neutrality. We're going to take his energy and turn it into our energy. And we are going to win a battle that's going to be epic. An epic battle for the reality that internet freedom is a human rights issue, is a freedom of speech issue, is a racial and economic justice issue. And we're going to make it so no one in this country can run for office and be against us. We have that kind of power. 2018, 2020, every candidate is going to switch to our side because we're making it impossible for them not to be on our side. So thank you all for being here. This is just the first step. Next, it's time for our movement judo.
Thank you so much, Kevin and Margaret. All right, y'all. Got a couple things to say. First of all, for the people on the live stream, for the people here who maybe just walked up and just decided to stand here because there's a big crowd, you're here at the Wake Up Call rally, here opposing the FCC vote on net neutrality, hosted by the Voices for Internet Freedom Coalition. One of those organizations that host that coalition is the Center for Media Justice, where I work. And one of our biggest projects is a national network called the Media Action Grassroots Network. And we got a lot of magnet members in the crowd with us. And the next person coming up to speak is from one of our member organizations out from St. Paul, Minnesota. This cold weather means nothing to him. That's why he's wearing a little coat. Name is Martin Ludden, the executive director at St. Paul Neighborhood Network.
Thank you. Are y'all awake? I am actually cold. So, like, warm me up. Wake them up. I'm the executive director of the St. Paul Neighborhood Network in St. Paul, Minnesota. We're a proud Magnet member, so thanks to CMJ and Magnet for having us here. We depend on a free and open internet to do our work. We're a community media center. Wow. Our mission is to provide a platform for people to use media and communications to make better lives, use authentic voice, and build common understanding, and we do that through storytelling. We provide skills and equipment and a platform to amplify voices in our community that might not otherwise get heard. We broadcast on television, but mostly we use the internet. People use our platforms to tell important stories. Jamella's story about losing her brothers to gun violence in Chicago. Francisco's investigation of the impacts of immigration policy through the eyes of Minnesota dreamers. Documentaries that our youth produce about their peers who are experiencing homelessness and about Islamophobia in their communities. Community media centers like ours are non-profit media. The stories we tell don't bring financial benefit. We tell them because it's our mission and because they might not get told otherwise. We put valuable resources and training in the hands of regular people so they can exercise their free speech rights. It's one of the many small ways we work for justice through the power of technology. This is another. You can ignore written comments, you can hide behind bots, but you can't very well ignore concerned citizens standing in your front yard and holding you accountable. The net must remain neutral. Allowing ISPs to censor or throttle or interfere with the free and open travel of information over the internet poses a clear threat to our First Amendment protections. It's a threat to Jamela and Francisco and our youth and each and every one of you and our Magnet sister and brother organizations and every single one of you who has something to say. We need to do all we can to ensure that a profit motive will not privilege some voices over others. That speech challenging the status quo will not find itself in the slow lane. That every voice can be heard and that every story can be told. Free the internet.
All right, shout out to St. Paul Neighborhood Network and shout out to all the public access TV stations out there. We got one right in front of the house, Philly Cam. Shout out to Philly Cam. From public access TV stations to community radio stations, those institutions, very much like the internet, allow for people to create their own media and tell their own stories. Next person coming up here, also affiliated with St. Paul Neighborhood Network, but also has helped to organize a community radio station, WFNU, Frogtown Neighborhood Association in Frogtown, St. Paul, Minnesota, Simona Zappas.
Good morning. My name is Simona Zappas, and I'm the director of WFNU Frogtown Community Radio in St. Paul, Minnesota. Our station is housed in a church basement. Our station has an FM broadcast range of 10 miles, but we rely on our web stream to reach the majority of our listeners. Our station is small, but we give a mic and an audience to folks regardless of whether or not they have skills in radio, whether or not they have a journalism degree, or whether or not they have a computer at home. Our station shares diverse voices in a community forum, and our work is fueled by the knowledge that everyone has a story and a perspective to be heard, and that individual experience comes before profit. Our station shares diverse voices of people who are historically misrepresented by big media groups. On our station, we have folks telling their stories about personal experience with addiction and recovery, mothers sharing with each other about this pain of losing their children to gun violence, and we feature music from local teens at the high school down the street. If someone at our station said something that an internet service provider didn't like, or if an internet service provider decided they just plain out didn't like us, we could not afford the price to keep up with the speed needed to folks to access our web stream.
cutting listeners out from hearing community news, cutting parents off from hearing their children's song play, and silencing mothers who are sharing their pain from losing a child. Deregulating net neutrality is about denying diverse voices a chance to be heard in the name of profit. Our station belongs to a community of neighbors and volunteers. That community has a story to share, and that community has invested time and talent, and that community deserves to be heard. With our FM signal, we reach St. Paul, but with internet broadcasting, we can be heard around the world. Our community voices need to continue to be heard. Despite what Chairman Pai is trying to do today, we refuse to be fined, slowed down, and silenced for speaking up and speaking out.
Thank you so much, Simona. All right. It is cold out here, but I promise you, we're getting towards the end. So we're going to do a little chanting to get our energy up. When I say who's net, y'all say our net. Who's net? Our net. Who's net? Our net. Who's net? Our net. Who's net? Our net. When I say don't block my internet, you basically say the same thing. Don't block my internet. Don't block my internet. Don't block my internet. Don't block my internet. Make some noise if you're cold. All right. Next up, from the wonderful organization Demand Progress. If you showed up at a rally, if you showed up at a Verizon protest, if you've called Congress, they had a hand to play in this. Let's give some shout outs to Monica, Samantha Seaborg.
Good morning, everyone. Let's give it up for everyone who's out here, all of you, in the cold. It's snowing. I've seen flurries. It's not cool. It's cold. You know, we've heard a lot from everyone already about why net neutrality means so much to us. But for me, it's a little bit more personal and goes back many, many years to when I grew up in Saudi Arabia. And sometime in 1998 or 1999, I had finally the opportunity to have very, very slow dial-up at home as a 14-year-old. I was so excited, and my parents made it clear, like, this is expensive. This is about costing us $250 a month. So use it for your homework, you know, but use it sparingly because it's expensive. And I remember being so excited and also so devastated when so many of the websites I tried to go to were blocked with messages in Arabic that I couldn't read or understand. The thing is, we've got a lot to lose here, and you know, it's we have our voices here in this country that I didn't have at the time in Saudi Arabia, and we have a free and open internet right now. And you know, I encourage you to take this chance to talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, because a lot of people don't know exactly what net neutrality means. But break it down for them, and they'll understand that this is not a partisan issue. So keep it up. Thank you so much for coming out. Love you all.
Thank you. All right, y'all. As Deezus and Mero like to say, only illustrious guests here today. We got representatives of Congress who came through. We got commissioners at the FCC who came through. We got senators who came through. Next up, we got the Chief Technology Officer for the City of New York. New Yorkers, make some noise. Miguel Gamino.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I could be here. I had to navigate the snow on a train, so I apologize for being a little bit late. But today is super, super important. And New York City joins millions of people, hundreds of community organizations and local leaders raising our voice in opposition of dismantling net neutrality protections, what we like to call save net neutrality. Unlike our representatives at the FCC right next door, we don't ignore 13,000 pages of net neutrality complaints filed by New Yorkers and other consumers from all over the country. Yeah. New York Mayor de Blasio has been at the forefront, and I'm proud of that. But he's been side by side with mayors from cities all over the country, including someone near and dear to my heart, the recently late Mayor Ed Lee in San Francisco. When I worked for him in San Francisco, public Wi-Fi, public access to the internet was a major initiative. We saw it as a human right, as a way for people to participate in modern society today. And so it's timely that I'm standing up here representing New York, but still representing my family back in San Francisco in honor of Mayor Ed Lee today. So we stand here rallying public to comment, call on elected leaders, comment on the FCC to vote. We ask them to be loud about their sentiments to repeal net neutrality. We co-signed letters with other mayors and other organizations, and we issued public statements, all in protection of a fair and open internet. But a free and open internet forms the backbone of the 21st century economy. And as leaders of our local communities, we understand too well that the vote today is a fundamental threat to consumer protection, opportunity, and the creation of new ideas. So today's efforts to dismantle net neutrality, notwithstanding the serious legal deficiencies, not to get lawyer on us, but it represents a stark, inexplicable, unwarranted attack on our communities and our residents. So today, too many people in low-income communities already can't afford the internet. So reversing net neutrality protections only increases the unfairness and inequality in our communities. 20% of New Yorkers, that's 1.6 million people today, do not have access to internet in their homes. They're already blocked. They're blocked by affordability. They're blocked by availability. We don't need more blocks. We need access. Those people don't have the luxury to pay for upgraded service packages. They can't pay additional fees just to complete their homework or do a job search. And let me be really clear, they shouldn't have to. Struggling a little bit with the wind. But I see the energy is up. For these people we're talking about, the best alternative is to leave their home. Go find a public library, only between the hours of 8 and 5, and stand in line and wait. One more San Francisco story. We had just launched SF Wi-Fi, and we were at an event. And I was done with that event. I walked off stage, and a parent came up to me, a mother came up to me, and she said, "Thank you for leaving the internet, leaving the Wi-Fi on after the library closes." And I looked at her puzzled, and I thought, I have to understand this better. And so I asked her, and she said that her son would frequent the front steps of the public library to finish his homework. In that moment, I felt proud and ashamed at the very same time. Proud that at least we gave him an option, but ashamed that we could not have done better. So we must do more, not less. And while these important community institutions like public libraries and public places are doing their best to serve this public need, even they are going to be impacted by what's happening next door. And it's a disproportionate burden on small businesses and startups. Small businesses might be able to connect to customers to compete online. They have to. Over 98% of businesses in New York are small businesses, the backbone of our economy. And voting to repeal net neutrality is an unconscionable act against those small business owners, those entrepreneurs, and those innovators, not just in the current time, but in the future, and not just in New York, but in every corner of this country. And the same holds true for technology startups in New York City and around America. Without net neutrality rules, incumbent ISPs can unfairly tip the scales in their favor or in the favor of the companies with the resources to pay. And connectivity is not only the foundation for education and economic opportunity, it's also the future of our cities. We're working hard to leverage technology to better serve people. And that future is now in jeopardy. These actions come at a time when ISPs with interest in repealing are selling smart city products, inserting themselves between the residents and the services we deliver to them. So I'm here to tell you, as the FCC steps back, New York City steps up. We can't stop, we won't stop our fight for net neutrality. We won't stop fighting to protect the internet, to make sure that it is fair and neutral for all users. And while the weather right here might be cold, I can tell that our passion and our movement is hot. So we're part of this global movement, from grassroots to well-organized, ensuring that universal, affordable, high-speed access is available to everyone, that we protect people's privacy online, that we protect people's access to opportunity online. So I'm excited about the future ahead. We will create unprecedented opportunity, but I want everyone to have the chance to participate in our democracy, in the future economy, in the modern society. So we must protect the open internet today to ensure the future we are building is accessible to everybody tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. You know what else is hot? You know what else is hot? The CTO of the city of New York has the flyest kicks. So someone should tweet that out. All right, y'all. We got someone else coming up next. The executive director of Media Alliance, an organization based out in San Francisco, California. I was just out with her protesting outside of a Verizon store last week. And here she is in Washington, D.C. Tracy Rosenberg.
Hey, everyone. So I just want to remind us that 1 week ago, organized about a week before that, 600 cities had protests just like this all over the country. And all right, 700. See, I'm wrong. I was with 300 people. No offense, but in San Francisco, we take the internet kind of seriously, and there were a lot of people there. And I told them that I was coming here. And they said, bring our voices, every last one of them, to that stage. So I'm not one person, I'm 300 people, and each one of you is 300 people too, or 3,000 people. They're not listening to us up there. Now, I'm going to ask you what probably seems like a stupid question, but it has to be asked. How many of you in the last year went to some event, some rally, some protest that you heard about only on the internet? Okay, every stinking last one of you, every single person standing here. This is how we organize, this is how we connect, this is how we change the world. And government that works for us, this is how we talk to them. So is it any wonder that they want to shut it down and silence it and stop it? Are we shocked? Are we going to let them get away with it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tracy. All right, y'all, coming up next, out of Philly, the city of brotherly love and sisterly love, let's be real. Media Mobilizing Project, an organization whose mission, or what they say, is the movements begin with the telling of untold stories. No one tells those stories better than Media Mobilizing Project. Coming up next, Alex Wiles.
Hey everybody, it's like you said, I'm Alex Wiles. I'm here from Philadelphia, and I'm really humbled and honored to be at this amazing high-energy rally today. So I'm a media activist from Philadelphia. And let's face it, first of all, the internet has never truly been equitable. The digital divide in this country is very, very real. Even today, there are at least 5 million school-age kids without broadband internet at home. And that digital divide, that inequity, will only expand if net neutrality is repealed, which we cannot allow to happen. But in spite of this tremendous inequity, the internet has been one of the greatest venues for action, for conversations around the way we shape the world. Our open internet is a tool for free speech at its core. It allows us to expose and confront injustice on a scale both local and international. It is an indispensable tool for participation in society, giving millions of people easier access to employment, and it helps us break down barriers to education. Well, I may get a little sappy here, but it allows us also to find friendship and solidarity in an otherwise totally isolating world, which is crucial for the marginalized and queer youth of this country with no other support network to turn to. Our open internet has allowed us to amplify our voices and claim our own identities. We have seen more positive images of black and brown people on social media in the last 5 years than we have on mainstream media in the last century. Most important of all, the internet as it currently exists allows us to express our dissent, to organize collectively for change in a world plagued by injustice. This is what Ajit Pai and the telecom superpowers seek to take away from us. Isn't that right, Pai, you goddamn sellout? Consider this, an FCC chairman groomed by Verizon and put in power by a billionaire president. It does not stretch the imagination. It does not stretch the imagination to see that he is likely to protect the interests of the wealthy over the interests of people like you and me. This is not an attempt to reinvigorate our economy, as he so claims. It is just another money grab for the ultra-wealthy. It is an attempt to break and splinter apart the greatest tool for progress that this planet has ever seen. The internet right now is for us what telephones and print were for the civil rights activists of the previous century. As a queer black man and filmmaker and media activist from the poorest big city in the country, I can tell you that losing the open internet would deal a tremendous blow against our continued fight for civil liberty. This is just the latest attack in a class war that will leave more people offline and without internet access. We must not allow the digital divide to expand any more than it already has. Perhaps you've forgotten, FCC, that your obligation is to us, the people, not wealthy corporations. But history will remember, as it always has. No matter what happens today, we will never stop fighting. We will fight here in the streets and we will fight in the courts for as long as it takes. For as long as it takes. One last chant. The people united will never be defeated. The people The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. All right, coming up next, illustrious guests. We just had Philadelphia. We heard from San Francisco. Let's go to the Southwest, from the beautiful state of New Mexico, a state that right now is struggling. When you look at the list of states all over the country in terms of education, in terms of the digital divide, this state always keeps coming up towards the bottom. So this state knows what it means to have access to an equal internet. I want to invite up Roberta Rael, Executive Director of Generation Justice, and a delegation of New Mexicans.
Thank you, Stephen. Woo! All right.
So yeah, Generation Justice in Albuquerque, New Mexico, working with young people and young at heart people, and making sure that voices of our community are heard, not from the interpretation of other people, but from their own voices. And so one of the things I want to just mention to the other media folks that are out here today, that when you all do this reporting about what happened today and how many people were here today, just remember that for every single one of us that are standing here in this cold on Thursday morning, we are here for tens of thousands of other people who could not be here today. So don't report that there was X number of people. Report that there was tens of thousands of people who were represented. So in New Mexico, as Stephen said, we're known as the worst in the country to raise a child. We're known as the worst in our education system for the country. And we're known for having a Republican-made behavioral health crisis. What they talk about is our crime rate. But what that really is, it's been manufactured to make sure that we stay down. And so when the FCC does what they have done in a month, when they take away things like broadband, when they take away and they got Lifeline, and now today they're after our net. They are targeting states like New Mexico and people like me and people like Austin Weoki. And we are here to say no. In fact, we're here to say, and if you'll just humor me, join me. Na, 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 hey, 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 no, no pie. Na, 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 hey, 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 no, no pie. Na, 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 hey, 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 no, no pie. We are saying no because we know who we are and we know what we need. And young people like Austin Weoki from the Native American Voters Alliance, they know that they need the internet. Our children deserve education. The internet gives us education. Our elders deserve health information. The internet gives them health information. And we deserve to be connected to one another, to the people that we love. And that is our human right. And the FCC, you're not taking that away from me. My brother here, Austin Weoki.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This is the first time I've gotten to see really how many people there are in the crowd. It's kind of taken me back a little bit. I just wanted to say thank you all for waking up and getting out of bed or not going to work and deciding to come and hang out in the cold with me. It's really appreciated. I appreciate so much that you're being a voice for those who need to be heard. I like I said, and Roberta said earlier, I'm from New Mexico. Over half of our population is rural. Over half of our population is out stranded by themselves. And the FCC, not even a month ago, gutted a program that cost almost nothing to the taxpayer for no reason as an act of cruelty to leave people stranded out by themselves, to not have any communication. There was no coverage on that, but they will be heard here today. People will be stood for here today. No one here is deceived that what Chairman Pai is trying to do today is an act of vision or movement or forward progress. It is an act of cowardice and cruelty. There's no reason, there's no rhyme or reason that what's likely going to happen today should happen. I'm so happy that everyone here is standing together, and we have to know that regardless of what happens today, regardless of what is probably going to happen today, that the fight doesn't stop here. Call your senators, email your senators, mail your senators while you still can. Call the FCC, bomb everything you can, get all the messaging out there that you can. We have to be heard. We will be heard. We must be heard. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wake Up Call Rally. For those on the live stream, for those in here who maybe just walked up, that's what you're at. Hosted by the Voices for Internet Freedom Coalition. Just really quickly want to give some shout outs to some people, you know, the hidden labor of this rally that are making this thing work. Shout out to DC Action Lab who helped put this thing together. Shout out to all the marshals, all you volunteers. Shout outs to our sound people over here who holding it down. Not just with the sound, they're also literally holding down this thing. So thank you for that. Next up, our final speaker for today, Elena Nunez from Common Cause, Colorado.
Good morning. It is so inspiring to be with so many committed people who have so many stories to tell about how the internet impacts us all. I'm here because at Common Cause we care about democracy and having a government that actually works for all of us, where we all have an equal voice. We have a long way to go to get there, but we all know that an open internet is a core democracy issue. It's how we organize ourselves, it's how voters educate themselves, we debate issues on the internet, and it's how many of us talk to our members and other people. So the internet needs to be free and open for us all to have a voice. Unfortunately, upstairs there, we have a bunch of folks who are putting the interests of a few major corporate donors above the interests of millions of Americans. If the FCC is allowed to strip open internet protections from us, it will devastate our ability to organize and to advocate for a democracy that works for all of us. Let's be clear, this fight does not end today. If the FCC decides to put the interests of a few corporate donors above the interests of all of us, we will fight back. We will take the fight to the courts, and we will take the fight to the streets. Thank you again for being here. It's so exciting to be with all of you. Let's fight on.
All right, thank you. With my co-host. I hope you've enjoyed your time out here. As dreadful as the stuff that's going on in here is, there's a lot of love out here in this crowd. So on behalf of myself, Steven Renderos, and Colette Watson, we got to make sure your mic is on.
Check, 1, 2.
Oh, there we go. Just want to say a couple things. You know, people often think that this fight is about bits and bytes. It's not. It's about civil rights. It's not about just internet. It's about internet freedom. Emphasis on the freedom. I often say, like, it's more than just cat videos, but I just want to share a quick story. I'm on, like, a Facebook group for someone who is battling cancer right now. And every time I log into Facebook, I see another cat video. And it brings me joy. And I know that the person who's struggling and fighting to fight back cancer brings her joy. Because it's a type of medicine that you can't just take and inject into your body. And that's what the internet is all about. It's about bringing us medicine in more ways than one. Bringing us medicine in the form of culture. Bringing us medicine in the form of identity. Bringing us medicine in the form of community. So that's why you all are here, battling the cold, freezing, but still with a lot of love. So we're going to close out, you know, with a song. Because today was a call to wake up. Not just ourselves, and we totally did that this morning, so thank you for doing that. Also the people inside this building, for them to wake up. That the fight does not end here. That the fight keeps moving forward. And as we move forward, we're going to do one thing collectively, and that's keep our eyes on the prize. And that's how we're going to close out. So I'm going to hand it to Colette. That's going to invite us all collectively to sing together.
All right, everybody, I'm going to need your help. If you're with me, say yeah.
Yeah.
I need you to say 2 words for me. Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Come on, y'all. Hold on. Hold. One more time. Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Let me hear you. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. The last thing I did right was the day I decided to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Everybody hold on. Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on. Yeah. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. I said the first thing I did right was the day I decided to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on.
Much love to you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Go get warm. All right. Oh, yo. Oh, okay. Hold on. That was a that was a wonderful exclamation
I
point.
know. We could have just dropped the mic. Bam.
But then we would have had to pay for that. All right, y'all. We're going to do one thing together. Just one thing in addition to singing. Let's take a picture because we want to remember that this many people showed up. So how are we going to do this? Everybody come to the front of the stage.
Right up front.
Let's get cozy. Let's get... Are they staying down below or on top of the stage? Fill the stage if you want. Take over.
Oh my God, you have me crying, girl.
There you go. Let's get cozy.
I'll give that back to you.
Let's do it. You got to hold up your signs if you got them. Just don't block people's faces, please. No blocking, no throttling. All right. Here we go. How we looking? How we looking?
Oh, sorry.
Signs down, signs down. Let's get people's faces in it. Awesome. How we doing? That good? We good? All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. I feel like I'm on Saturday Night Live. See you next week.